Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into and moving forward with Ronai, Anomaly the Agency, and myself, Chanel, Chapter 28 Beauty. Here we are with our vlog number 2, our business and budget. Ronai, starting off, she has no voice today, so you're going to hear me doing all of this.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
she's
gonna
going to
hear me a little
transition.
raspy, but you'll hear a little, but that's all we're getting today. So
So excuse me if I do a whole bunch of because that's just what I do. All right, so basically the vlog really revolves around 8 areas of self-care, and they're the physical, the psychological, emotional, your financial, your spiritual, your environmental, and then also your professional and your social. So this is like the formula to happiness. The formula, if you're following these 8 steps or 8 areas and you're focusing on them throughout your week, your month, your year, you should be successful with just being happy in life, successful in business, because you're nurturing all these areas which are near and dear to you. You need to, keep it going. So today we're going to talk about the budget, which is your financial area, and budget in general, like in life, and then also budget in business. Um, as a startup, it's so crucial to have a business plan. It's crucial to understand how much money you actually have, and where it's going to go. And if you don't have any money at all, it's really crucial on trying to figure out how to get money to fund your business. Um, and the best way to start that is just making sure financially at home you're straight. Like, you shouldn't be jumping into a business or business plan or anything like that unless your home finances are somewhat together. Like, obviously, if you're struggling to pay rent, it's not smart to go and start putting money into a brick and mortar for your business. That makes no sense whatsoever. So what you do at home is exactly what you're going to do in your business when it comes to paying. Rana, you have anything to say to that?
no, yeah, I agree with that. I think that's everyone's biggest thing, especially just starting off. And I think it's good to point out that, like you said, if you can't pay your rent, it's probably not smart to pay for your brick and mortar, your office, you know what I mean? That, unless you plan on sleeping there at some point. So that you might want to get that in order. You might want to make sure everything's on top with that one. So
Right. Because it's essentially like the same thing. You at home, you have your rent, your utilities, um, all the little home essentials you have to buy, your toiletries and things like that. In your business, you have your rent, you have your utilities, and then you have your products and things that you need to operate the business, supplies, office supplies, things of that nature, where you don't realize how much you actually need to function like a normal business. If you want to be running around with your head chopped off, um, it's very easy to do that without planning out, what you need. So I will say start at home, make sure everything is straight at home. And then when home is straight, and home for me did not get 100% straight until I was married, until I had the second income coming into the household that can pretty much hold us down. Because a startup is very ugly. It's gonna be a struggle, and you might not get it right the first time around. I didn't get it right the first time around, so I can attest to just going back at it and then just fixing the areas that are, were messed up for you. For me, it was my finances, because my personal finances were not in order. Um, in order for me to take my idea to the next level, I had this huge dream of what I wanted it to be and where I wanted to go and what I wanted it to look like, but I didn't have the money to do those things. So I had
Mhm.
to partner up with someone to make that happen. And that goes into a whole nother area of business talk, or
Right,
just in general,
right.
just because, like, you don't know what your business partner has going on in their personal life. Like, you have
Mhm.
no idea the finances that they're struggling with, or they may have. So it's a real conversation that people don't like to sit down and have. I didn't have that conversation. So I can't be mad if it goes south because I never discussed my finances and I never discussed their finances. And we weren't 100% straight up with each other. Like, listen, and then have that plan B. If this happens, this is where we're going to go with it. None of that happened. So second time around, I'm married. I have a second income coming in the household and I'm able to take my income and do what I need to do to fund the business. So just having a foundation. It's the safest way to go about it. If you're single and you don't plan on getting married or, whatever the case may be, you just plan to operate on your own, it's simple. Make sure that you have double. You have money for your home and then you have money to go into your business. And depending on the business that you're going into, it's going to vary. Like if you don't plan on never having a brick and mortar, you plan on operating out of your home office, which people really need to understand that you can have an office in your home and you can operate out of that. And that's just the room that you have dedicated to, your business, and you can write that off on your taxes and a whole bunch of deductions that go in line with that. And it's not hard. Nowadays there's a lot of things out there online that you can figure out and make a home office. I can choose to do hair out of my house, which I've done before, and I can write that off, and it's going to save me a whole lot of money. But for me, I had to go into an actual brick and mortar because it just takes you that next level up. It's professional. I don't want my kids running all around, and my husband walks to the door, and then there being hair in my living room and drag this and that, and it's just too much. So creating that environment that I would want to be. I would want to go and be able to let my hair down, be who I am, and not have to worry about people around me. So go ahead.
I will say so, and that's kind of great perspective. I do often think about what a brick and mortar might look like for me personally within my business in the future. But luckily, like with what I do with public relations and communications, like you said, I don't need a brick and mortar. That's not required for me to be able to establish the business at all. And so I think a lot about my home office, thought about like turning my bedroom into the office or maybe switching the living room around and making that office, whatever the case may be. Or ultimately just using co-working spaces or cafes, which I personally prefer. I just like the environment of cafes. I like the interaction around us. I feel like it makes people comfortable when you're having a conversation about business. And so, but I do, again, I appreciate that feedback because brick and mortar is still something that I'm looking forward to in the future, just to have that for my business at some point. So,
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it just a brick and mortar just puts you out there. Like, you know, it gets you set up for traffic. If you're like a foot traffic type of person where you need people who are walking by, um, then that's something to put you just right in front of everybody where they can see
right.
you, can see your brand. Um, I will say that I wouldn't jump to a brick and mortar if you don't have to, because that alone, like you might find a place that you feel like will work great for you and you want to get that place, which we've had this issue already. Like, but it's not built out for your business, like what you need. It's not built out. So that means you're gonna have to renovate it. You're probably gonna have to get it zoned if it's not zoned for the type of business that you're offering. And that's
Okay.
a big, because zoning costs. And whether or not they choose to agree to zoning it for your business or not, you still have to pay that money. And it varies, from state to state. I can't remember when I was trying to do a business in PA. I want to say the zoning cost was like 2 grand. I want to say that.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, don't quote me, but it was just something crazy. Maybe 600, and I was like, oh, that's like 2 grand. Like, no, I'm not doing it. But it was enough for me to say I'm not going to take that chance. I can only go to places right now that are already zoned for salon or spa. Anything
Right.
outside of that, I can't do because I can't afford to pay the zoning cost and for them to turn around and say, "Huh, we don't want that in our area." And they could not want in their area for several reasons. They don't want the traffic. They don't want the traffic
Mhm.
cars being parked, and they don't want the type of clientele that you're about to bring. If you're a barbershop,
Right.
you're about to have a whole bunch of guys walking in and out, girls too with kids, and some areas just don't want it. They don't want that type of traffic. That's not what they're looking for. So I would just say just that alone, that's a big thing in your demographics. When you're starting a business and you're doing your budget planning and stuff like that, you need to know what your demographics are. If you don't know who you're selling to, then what are we doing here? Like, you really have to know that, and that's going to tell you your return. When you start checking demographics, and when we go into detail with these things, we will start adding links and search and searches that you can look up to see these numbers on your own. But like, there's websites you can go to show you the demographics, and they tell you the median income for the average person in that area and what they make. So you're supposed to be looking at those numbers, and it's really like a numbers game to see if that area is best for you. You're not going to put a high end sushi parlor like Sushi Cafe in the middle of the hood. You're not going to do that because it just doesn't fit the demographics. Like, are they really going to go for sushi all the time for your $30 sushi? Like, no, they're not. You have to make sure that you understand where you're placing it, and then visibility. Can they see you from the street? Your walk score, things of that nature. All these things are online. They're free. It's literally a time thing where you have to go in, you have to look at these things, break it down, and make sure that that area is best for you. Because ultimately, that's how you're going to get your business. That's how, if you're in a strip mall, you're good because you know that there's going to be people walking. But if you're in the corner of the strip mall where no one can see you and you're ducked off and you're like a small suite compared to all the other ones, and your sign is that big, they're not spending a whole bunch of money on marketing, a whole bunch of money with Ronai. Like, that's where that money goes. It goes to people who are, going to get you out there. And that's what you end up having to do. So you have to just figure all these things into your budget. Ronai.
Yeah. No, yeah, I definitely agree with the demographic. Whenever I have just random conversations with people that are interested in getting started with their business, the mere mention of, oh, what's the demographic? What's your audience look like? And it's kind of like, oh, no, I don't know. You know what I mean? And like, this is the thing. Like, I get it. Like, it's very easy for anybody to be like, oh, it's just general, anything. And it's just like, okay, but it's not always like that. And it really does depend on the product or the service, you know what I mean? The location, all of those things are so important, even just being in writing in general, the conversations we have about bringing certain things out here, projects that we, are looking forward to. And it's like, you have to take into account, like you said, in the hood, that's where you really want to grow. I feel like Nipsey really taught us, like, we got to be able to give back to, our roots, our hood, like everybody, the places we grew up. And so, but the main thing is, like, in doing so, you have to be able to recognize, like you said, okay, well, we're going to put a sushi spot here. How successful is this sushi spot going to be right here? You know what I mean? Versus over here, or whatever the case may be. I mean, you really have to have those conversations with yourself and your partner and whoever else is involved. And you have to be real. I think that's the ultimate thing, is like, be honest. Like, even if it takes you a couple of days, even if it pushes you back, rather, slow progress is still progress. And you have to be able to, like, just have a real conversation, a gut check. My uncle always taught me about gut checks. You know what I mean? Like, just checking yourself wherever you're at in life at that moment. And you got to be able to do it. You got to be able to be like, okay, well, realistically, my demographic is 18 to 25, and it's primarily females, but I'm trying to reach, and that's where the marketing comes into play. If you're trying to reach other ages and, males or, kids, whatever the case may be, there are people like Chynel said, me or, any professional really that is familiar with the business that you can talk to kind of point you in that direction.
Right. Absolutely. So that's part of your budget. Don't leave that out when you're looking at your business and when you're revamping your business plan. I've had to revamp my business plan several times, and it's not a problem. Like, don't feel like, oh, it's not working now. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be done in 2 years, or because, they say the average business doesn't really hit that I'm doing all right until like your 2-year, 3-year mark. You're struggling from that 1 to 2 to almost 3 years, depending on, it all just depends on how well you plan in your business, how well you plan your business out. If you're just going to go on a whim and you're just going to say, hey, we're just going to go into business, and you're having that conversation with your friends or whoever your business partner is going to be, and yeah, we're going to start selling this, that, and the third, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, but what's the plan? What is the operational agreement? What are y'all paying yourself?
Right.
Like, you know, the operational agreement is so die hard needed in a business. Like you cannot go into business with anybody without an operational agreement. That right there is going to tell you what you're responsible for, what they're responsible for, and what you both are going to be bringing to the table and taking away from it. If you don't have that, then it's just a bunch of, oh, I'm looking out, or I got you next week, or things of that nature, which can easily happen when you're dealing with somebody who you know. Now, when you
Right.
don't know them, those conversations are a little bit easier to have. But when you know the person, it's very hard to talk money in general with people that you know and people who
Mm-hmm.
your income, and you might think you know their income and you don't. You have no idea what they're, like I said, what they're doing on the back end with their money. So that's just really what I wanted to stress in this episode is, make sure your budget is figured out and make sure your home is good before you jump into your business. Um, a lot of people can save a lot of money with their business online. Honestly, like if you, for instance, I had to gut check myself just like a couple weeks ago when it came to like my product
Mm-hmm.
that I'm now. So of course, everybody knows Chapter 28 Beauty is like a natural, holistic-ish line, going more for the natural look and feel and even products. So I'm recommending really organic products, vegan products, things that are going to help you, um, stay beautiful, but it's healthy for you. Like I just have to go that route because when you know so much about the business and you know what they're putting out there, you really have to start making these types of decisions if you're passionate about it. And I'm super passionate about it, so I just want my clients to have the best. But anyway, starting the skincare line. I started the skincare line. I had the idea of, I was going to come up with a shampoo, conditioner. I wanted to do more skin than hair because I've been doing hair for so long. So, um, I had the shampoo and conditioner, yes, but then I wanted to do like a facial cream. I wanted to do a serum. I wanted to do a cleanser. Um, just everything you would use in skincare. Well, I quickly learned that you cannot afford to label, you cannot afford to jar, and you cannot afford to mix all these products right now. So you're going to have to choose one to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose the body butter to start with. So I'm not thinking anything about displaying the products. I'm not thinking about the labeling. I'm not thinking about any of that. And all of that costs. When you go to get a bottle, when I ordered my jars were like $1 a jar, or maybe like $1.25, $1.50 per jar. And then you got to configure how much, what the product costs. What are you making off, and then what you're selling it for. And it's just a bunch of math, really, that I hate. But
Me too.
it's a budget. You have to have that stuff together, or you are not going to make a profit. And I'm not necessarily going for profit with this because it's really just about getting the natural brands out there, not necessarily just my brand. If you have a natural product, I'm going to put your product on too. I feel like we should just all be looking more into the natural things because we have a lot of stuff out there that we're using and we're promoting that is killing us, like literally killing us, tearing your skin up raw, like, and you don't even realize it. What we look like right now versus what we're going to look like in 15 years, that matters. Because in 15 years, when you're dragging all over the place and your face is all on the floor, like then you're going to look for that product that you actually are going to be paying an arm and a leg for 90 or more to fix you. And why fix it when you can change, the process ahead of time? It doesn't make any sense. So, just going back to natural remedies, and that is a big thing when you're looking at a product. I really had to tell myself, wow, like you're not going to be able to do this right now. Like you're not going to have this awesome line all plastered out, and ready to go and ready to distribute, even paying shipping, paying different companies, paying, not even just labeling, but boxing what you need in your body. Like, and you want it to look a certain way. At a certain point, I definitely say start off small, but at a certain point in your brand, if you feel like your brand is up to par, You cannot deliver something in a cardboard box. You just can't.
Mm.
With some ripped up paper. You can't do it. It's not going to. I just think that's
Right.
that's just me. I don't want to give a half-ass product,
Right.
to my customers. So yeah, I mean that's where I'm at with that. So Ronai.
Two things. Well, they kind of coincide. But you mentioned income and, getting familiar with your partner, you and your partner's income and having those conversations. I think aside from that too, it's not even so much, your partner could be making 100K, you could be making 100K. It's really how you're even spending and again, budgeting your money. You know what I mean? A person that's making money, that doesn't equal out to, oh, well, their savings are great or they're going to be the best investor. No, like you also have to pay attention to, kind of how you handle money on a regular basis. Are you good? Which one is going to be more dedicated to saving versus, you know, all out spending or whatever the case may be. Like you have to be able to have those realistic conversations. And then also the money thing in general, for me personally, not a money person. You can absolutely ask anybody. I'm not a money person. It's never, I've never been the type of person to say like, oh, money's the end game. It's really not. So it took me a lot personally to get to a point where I could have a conversation with myself and tell myself like, look, you don't have to be this money hungry, it's the end all be all type of person, but you have to acknowledge the fact that you need money and you need to trust the money that's coming your way to make things happen. I read this book. I'm sure a couple of you have read it. If not, you definitely should. You Are a Badass. It's an amazing book. And one of the chapters, she really focuses on money and your relationship with money. And I think that was kind of a strong point for me where I was like, you know what? It's okay for me to be like, you know what? It is about me getting paid what I'm worth. I think that was the hardest thing is like
Yeah.
coming to terms with the fact that like, oh man, this sounds like a lot. No, if this is what you think you're worth,
Oh,
then
that's
take part of that. You know what I mean? It was very hard for me, even, kind of going through my business plan and everything and coming up with the pricing. Like I struggled. I think that was the last thing that I kind of put together because I was like, thinking about my clientele, the potential clientele. I love small businesses. So naturally, they're not going to have the same budget as a 500, corporate company. You know what I mean? Like a Fortune 500 company. And so um, it was a huge conversation that I had to have with myself multiple times. Even now, I'm kind of just like, okay, well, Ronai, this is your worth. This is what you're worth. And not for nothing, but you're going to continue to grow and your charges are going to increase at some point. You know what I mean? You have to be okay with that. And you have to trust that you're providing a product or service that's so beneficial and is actually going to make a difference. And it's worth charging this, that, and the third. And another thing going with that too, kind of just a side note, I hope that in having this conversation, the people that are watching that, look forward to supporting, whether it be me and Chanel's business or just friends and family in general, just fully support it. You know what I mean? It's not hard to pay the full amount versus, the discounted price that you get because your family and your cousin 3 times removed. You know what I mean? Like it's okay to pay the full amount because, it's hard. You know what I mean? And one thing that I get with a lot of people, especially in our city, you know what I mean? Everybody knows everybody, so we're all very close knit in a lot of ways. And one thing that I've been told a lot by the few people I've come across that do have businesses is everybody kind of wants a handout. Everybody wants a discount. Everybody wants a cheaper rate. And it's just like, it's unfortunate because you're willing to pay full price when you walk into Target or Walmart or I don't know, some designer store or something like that. But when it comes to people that you've known your whole life and you really want to see them do great, you're kind of standoffish, like, I really don't want to pay, all the money for this. I'd rather just have the discount or, now I'm good. Or you're acting funny because I'm not getting the discount. And it sucks. And I haven't been to that point in my business yet where that's a feeling. But even in doing other things, helping people with other things and having, oh, don't worry, you're my people. I got you. It's kind of like after a while, let's be real, it gets tiring because it's like, okay, well, you definitely, aside from seeing my worth, you really ain't believing in it because you're not even willing to invest in that 100%. And so that just kind of was, two things. I think the money aspect of things is always going to be a touchy subject, a funny subject, a hard subject. I mean, but I really think it's just as hard as you make it. I feel like no matter how hard the conversation is, you just got to have it. You got to be able to have that conversation. You got to be real with yourself And you also have to keep in mind that business aside, or, you know, personal relationship aside, rather, this is a business. You know what I mean? So all this about, oh, we're family, we go way back, that to a certain extent stays at the front door. You know what I mean? As soon as you walk into this office, we're business partners. You have an
Right.
equal say. I have an equal say. And regardless of what we feel personally, let's be great. You know what I mean? Let's get this money. Let's build, and let's really do this thing. So um, that's kind of my takeaways from that. Um, yeah, moving
Being
forward.
your worth is like the biggest thing. That honestly is what kind of changed
Right.
my projection on my business. Like, because of course I've been doing hair since I was like, I don't even know, 9, 10, 11,
Right.
whatever, young. And I'm always doing a family member's hair, my cousins, DeAndre and Ambrosia, I did their hair literally like my whole high school year, like high school year. They would always come to me, and I had like basically human dummies to work on. And that's why I am passionate. Like, I'm not stressing about money per se when it comes to my
Mhm.
business, but I had to learn how to charge for what I'm worth and charge for my experience in this industry and charge for the
Exactly.
education that I'm giving you. Because at the end of the day, I'm not just going to sit you in my chair and slap something on your head and you're going to get up and walk out. It's all about, you know, being personable, being invested in your client, because your client is investing in you when they're paying you for whatever they're paying you for. So we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. We're going to talk about your hair care, your health care. We're going to talk about your children. We're going to talk about your, you know, just your family, your lifestyle.
Right.
And I'm going to help you through some of those things because I have so much knowledge just in every area, because I deal with so many people and I get knowledge on a daily basis. So like, when it came down to charging for certain services, I remember when I went to school and they were like, you know, charge what you're worth, charge what you're worth. And I was just like, well, how much would I want to make per hour? Like, if I had an hourly job, how much would I want to make per hour? And I was set at 50. I was like, if I made $50 an hour, I'm good. Like,
Right.
cut me my check. I'm good. I will be back tomorrow. Kind of how I went about when pricing my extension services. So my extension services are technically $50 an hour, right? And I know how long it takes me to do an extension service. If I'm doing a sewing, I'm charging $150 for a sewing because it takes me 3 hours to complete my sewing. This
Right.
sewing lasts a month to 2 months. So really, it's not a benefit on my end. I'm cutting myself short, and this is why, because it's going to be 2 months before I see you again. It's going to be 2 months before you pay me
Right.
for another service. My haircut and my color services will be back way before you come back. So that's just like a way to see it. You know, like, I'm charging for what I'm worth at that point, but I'm not really making money off of these big charges. Just because what I'm doing to you is going to extend your time from seeing me. So you're not going to be spending money with me in the next 2 weeks. You're not going to be spending money next month. I might not see you again for 4 months, 4 or 5 months, because after you take the sewing
Right.
out, you're going to want to let breathe and all these things or whatever. So,
Right.
you know, I'm not structured around making the most money um, off of my clients. I'm just structured around my time and what I'm worth. And that's just such a big deal because, you know, even discounts. I have a loyalty program. Family or not, there's a loyalty program. So usually my family will be in my loyalty program because they're coming to me, because they're my, you know, because we know each other, they're my family. I do the work that they like, whatever the case may be, and they get that loyalty discount. There's really no more family discounts. I don't have those anymore because I can't afford them. If you want me to still have a business, brick and
Right.
mortar, you want me to be able to still advertise, you want me to be able to get these products that you need, you want me to be able to stand here and service you today, I have to charge you this amount of money. Like, I have to, or you're not going to have a business to come to tomorrow. Like, it's really
Right.
just that. And you really don't understand it until you go into business for yourself. And then it's like, whoa. Then you start to respect these other businesses out there, especially small businesses. It is a struggle to keep a business up and going. So your self-worth, that's like top. And that
Yeah.
goes hand in hand with 8 areas of self-care in our blog. We will talk
Mm-hmm.
about work and confidence. That's another thing. You can't look at the products that you're selling, you know, look at other businesses and be like, oh, well, they're selling theirs for 25. their shirts are 25, so we're about to start printing shirts and we can sell ours for 25. You cannot. One of the things you have to do is, unless you are super intelligent in your field and you're experienced in other areas where your product is A1, great. But you have to price accordingly. You're a startup business. You might not be using the best or the most, quality product or quality, vinyl or whatever the case may be. If you're taking the cheaper route to start your business, you cannot go and just be charging off, off
Right.
It's just not right, and your clients will notice it. You see the difference from a Walmart T-shirt and an Armani Exchange T-shirt. You see the difference. We can feel the difference, and then you see the quality and how long it lasts. If you're just trying to make that quick dollar, all right, fine, hit them over the head. But if you're trying to sustain your business and grow your business, it's best to charge accordingly. So go off of just making profit. I would start off with just going off of making profit. If your T-shirt costs $2 and the vinyl costs $1.50, as long as you get your $2 and $1.50 back, you're good. Obviously, you want to triple that. You want to make a decent profit margin or whatever the case may be. But those are just simple numbers to let you know, like, don't try to hit them over the head because you see somebody else hitting them over the head. That's just, to me, not the right way to do business. Do it for you. Don't do what other people are doing because they will get you caught up. And I tell people all the time, you can do what I'm doing, but you're not going to do it like me. You can use my plan, but you're not going to execute it the way I'm going to execute it because I am knowledgeable in every area. I made that plan for a reason. I can hand my plan to any other style and it's not going to look the same. It's just not. And not to say that they're going to be, it's going to be terrible or whatever the case may be. It's just not going to look like what I'm going to put together. So let your vision be your vision. If you're sharing your vision with somebody else, be open to their vision. Be open to incorporating and merging the two. You can't want to partner and then not want to take on what they want to do too. That doesn't even make sense. You can kind of modify your plan and just make sure that you both are equally responsible for executing that thing. If you're not, then that's where the problem lies. And that's where you need to cut back.
And even adding on to, kind of going back a little bit about what you said, knowing your worth. Just for example, I had, a client that I was working with that was kind of a friend of a friend. So I did give them a discounted price, so to speak. And even then, they kind of were questioning why I was charging them what I was charging them based on what I was giving. Even with social media, here's the thing. It's really not just you send me a picture and I post. No, a lot of times it's coming up with captions because people are horrible at captions. People don't understand the hashtag thing. People don't even research hashtags. I don't even think people fully understand a lot of times how imperative it is to have hashtags on some of your posts. Sometimes you don't have to have it. When you have a certain following, you have one hashtag, you're good. But a lot of times that's not what it is. You want to get people to notice your product or service. You want to see what your posts are looking like so it converts into follows, which eventually converts into sales. Aside from that, a lot of times it's coming up with pictures. It's not always going to be just a picture of you doing your thing. You know what I mean? I always go by the 3 E's. This is kind of my go-to whenever somebody asks me about posting on social media in general. So it's educational, entertaining, and engaging. Those are the 3 things. It's as simple as it can be, but at the same time, sometimes it's really not. This is the thing, especially people that follow a digital footprint, like, our current generations, Generation Z, millennials, especially, we hate being sold. Let's just get that clear. Absolutely hate being sold anything. I'd rather you be honest with me and even go as far as, hey, you can get this somewhere else. But like you said, but it's not going to be like what I can get you. Yes, that's what a lot of people currently that you're selling to like. Don't get me wrong. I kind of find it hard to understand why anybody would like sales in that aspect, like just constantly kind of being sold, like oversold. But there are some people that do like that. And I respect that. I personally understand though, and I have done the research on our, current generations. We don't like being sold. We just want you to be honest and be real and be relatable. That's the thing. So when you're posting engaging posts like you going out and helping out in your community or something like that, you're telling a story. You're creating a narrative around you and your business because you're saying, not only do I provide a service where I make money, but in that I also give back to my community because I actually care about what I'm putting out and I care about the people that are benefiting from my product or service. Educational. Of course, this is where, hey, refer people here to my business, or, did you know this, and that, you know what I mean? Giving out tips and doing things like that. And then entertaining, just the end all be all, you know what I mean? What do? You're doing hair, you're posting videos, you're DJing, whatever your craft is, your service, whatever. Entertain people with it. You know what I mean? Keep people engaged, and just make it fun. It doesn't
Right.
always have to be straight sales or straight this or straight that. It can be whatever you want it to be, but you got to stick with that and you got to be true to that. And so that's another thing with social media posts. Again, it's not just, oh, we're posting a picture here, we're just putting a caption. No, I mean, anybody could do that. Anybody could really do that.
Right.
But is it converting? Is it turning into anything? And honestly, sometimes it doesn't happen right away. You'll post for a month straight, have a couple likes, but it is what it is. And then all of a sudden, oh, hey, yeah, I saw your post. And a lot of times with social media too, it creates a community. That's another thing. I personally feel, especially for small businesses, if you're starting up, a lot of times you might not get a lot of conversions straight from Facebook or straight from Instagram. But what you will get is people coming in or coming to you and saying, hey, I saw what you posted on Instagram. I thought that was really cool. That's kind of why I reached out to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know. You know what I mean? Because it's not only telling you where your followers, where your customers are coming from, but it's letting you know that it's working in some way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now it eventually turns into a sale. And now you're like, hey, well, we got to go hard on Instagram, or we got to go hard on Facebook.
Right.
And so, again, just with knowing your worth and understanding that, it's not as simple as it looks at all times. Again, some people have it on lock. I know a lot of people that can do self-promotion and they're good at it, but it's more than that. It's absolutely even just more than that. You know what I mean? It's networking, knowing people in the community, the right people, the people that are going to get you past where you're at currently. You know what I mean? So
you're, not to cut you off, but
no,
the people who you're dealing with, like for instance, my friend, your referrals, people who are going to promote you. If you don't have a solid group of friends that is going to push you, and then push your service or your product, you're really going to have to work on your marketing, because word of mouth is the best way to get any type of business. But if you don't have that following yet, and your people ain't like really backing like you would like them to, it's going to be an issue. Obviously, for me, I have like friends everywhere. And, when I'm wherever I'm at, if I'm in PA, if I'm in Atlanta, if I'm here, I'm there, I have clients that I see or whatever the case may be. But outside of that, being in Virginia Beach, I have to do a lot of marketing because I don't have people here that are going to run their mouth about what I do for them. My clients are really stingy. Like, they don't like to share me. They don't want me booking with nobody else because they want that time to be available for them.
Right.
So for me, it's a fortunate but unfortunate thing. It's like a double-sided sword, because I can't just, I don't have a whole bunch of clients. I have my clients that I stick to, and that's all I do. And I really only take referrals.
Right.
Which means I have a cap on how much I can actually make in my business, which is why I've turned it around and I'm going more so the retail route, and focusing on our products versus focusing on services and me behind the chair. So eventually I'll phase out of hair. I'll phase out of makeup, and I'll be doing other things, and we'll be exploring other projects. And that's really because I just hadn't figured out, and I've been doing it so long. I wish Ronai was around when I first started to get my marketing correct and have it on point, so that I had those walk-ins. I don't even take walk-ins now. So I really have to be careful with how I market. I market just to show what I do and to show what's out there. I'm not necessarily marketing for a whole bunch of clients that come walk into my door. Right. That is not what I'm not trying to convert and get 20 people on a day. I'm not trying to be in the salon all day. I'm not. So I have other things to do. So,
right.
I mean, it's a really good point. Educate, entertain, and engage. That is awesome. I've got to make sure that I, recast that. But I mean, that is it for me on budget and business. Ronai, is that it for you?
I kind of did just want to say, going into what you had just said, for instance, for you, like in the hair business, like you've been doing that for so long, like people are very familiar with the fact that you do hair. But I think for me, it's such a different type of vibe, because not only do people not know what public relations is, but I'm so, you know how I am these days. I don't be saying nothing. You have to ask me 3 times.
Yeah.
I be trying to be so low key that people don't even know people, had we not had this blog, people probably wouldn't even have known that I had started this business, which was ultimately the reason that we did this, to kind of put that out there, like you said, the word of mouth and all of that. And so it's different because, like you said, like that promotional part, that word of mouth, like getting people to understand like who you are, what do you do, what do you provide. It's very important, and kind of just putting people on. Like my mom, like I said, she's had my website link for weeks. Like, can I post it? Can I post it? And I'm like, no, 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 not yet, not yet. Just hold on, hold on. So,
Okay.
getting to that point where you're just like, all right, now you can make that announcement or whatever the case may be, but I think overall, just being mentally there, and just understanding like it's okay to do it before you're ready. But again, like you said, having those different, that thought process of, okay, well, if I'm getting a brick and mortar, do I have the finances to cover both places? And then not only that, but like whoever I'm working with, or, if it is just myself, like, can I survive like that? I think that's very important. So, all in all, I agree. I'm with it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I mean, at the end of it all, budget is everything. If you don't have a decent budget, or if you don't even know how to budget, you might want to figure that out before you start building a plan, because it goes hand in hand. And if you don't have a good plan and a plan for your budget, you will not succeed. That is like obvious. You just won't make it because I mean, there's too many decisions that have to be made and too many moving parts in a business that we don't think about that come along for you to not be prepared for everything, if you want to be successful. So, all right. Well, that's the end of our vlog number 2, business and budget. Um, Renee, any last words before we close up?
No, I think we pretty much covered it all, and there's not really much more I can say. Hopefully, next vlog my voice will be all the way here and not halfway. I'm tired of it. So, yeah, and moving forward.
And
Thank you.
moving forward, yeah. So we will definitely be touching on another part of the 8 areas of self-care. And just remember they're the physical, the psychological, the emotional, financial is what we did today, spiritual, environmental, professional, and social. So I think we're gonna go with the let's do professional. Let's
All
talk
right.
about professionalism in the industry and starting a business. And yeah, I think some people need to hear about that.
All right.
All right.
I agree.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you for listening in on and moving forward vlog. And this is vlog number 2 with Anomaly the Agency and Chapter 28 Beauty. We will be with you guys next week on Monday for another recording.
And shout out to everybody that has subscribed so far. We did get a tremendous amount of subscribers, which was very surprising for me. I know people are kind of, they'll view it, but they don't really subscribe. So I appreciate all the subscriptions, the shares, just the love we be getting overall, from the first vlog. And, there's more to come. And we really appreciate all the love and support. And we hope to have you on here someday. So
It's coming. It's coming. I was definitely talking about it earlier about like us going live. And, right now we're still getting used to our content and how we want to vibe this whole situation. But
right.
live is definitely in the near future. And when we go live, there's going to be a lot of people asking questions that we're going to have to answer. And we're just not sure how we're going to structure that yet. So right now we're sticking to the recordings, but we'll definitely be going live. And then also we'll definitely be having some guest speakers on, maybe,
Definitely.
next week or two, we can find somebody that, or not find somebody, I'm sure there's somebody who has something to say somewhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, definitely hit us up, send us an email us.
Moving forward vlog at gmail.com. That's VLOG
Yeah,
at
VLO.
gmail.com. The blooper.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like and follow our Facebook pages, and also follow us on Instagram. And moving forward, you'll get more content.
There you go.
All right, y'all. Good night.